My name's James Aldridge. I'm an artist working with people and places. This particular place I'm at the moment is Salisbury Plain. If I move around like that, you can see the plain behind me stretching out for miles. I live, moving back again, just behind me, down in a village in the Vale of Pewsey. So this is my local patch and this is where I've come out to explore. I was very lucky recently to come up and visit the Great Bustard reintroduction project and see some of the wild living bustards there. As I'm sure you've heard, the Great Bustards went extinct in this country and they've gradually been reintroduced through the hard work of the Great Bustard Group. It's brilliant to be able to see them in the wild, and I'd really like to celebrate their presence back here in Wiltshire by making some artwork back at the studio. So I've chosen to make artwork about the Great Bustards, inspired by Great Bustards, but you can choose any bird that lives near you, any bird that's special to you. Choose one bird that you're inspired by its plumage, by its shape, by its colour, and then work to make artwork based on that. I'm also looking at the habitats, so I'm looking at the place where the bustard lives, and I'm going to be drawing from some of the colours of the earth and the plants and so on, as well as the colours and the patterns that are actually on the bird's plumage. So you could do something similar. It really doesn't matter which bird you choose, as long as it's something that's special to you and local to where you live. Hi, I'm back in my studio now and I'm almost ready to get started on making some artwork. So I brought back some materials with me. You can see these, there's some different seed heads, dried grasses and so on from up on Salisbury Plain. I've also got two of the feathers that I found, beautiful big feathers from the Great Bustards, not today, but when I actually went to visit the Great Bustard project. But before I do that, I wanted to show you some of my artwork that I've made in response to different places or different animals, and which can be worn. So this piece here, this is a mask or a headdress, and it was originally based on a skull that I found in Savernake Forest. I was watching some deer in Savernake Forest and I went for a walk and actually found a deer skull. And this is the skull, so you can see the kind of the shape. And that's similar to what we're going to do today. I've got those materials that I showed you from the plain. I've got the bustard feathers, and these are my inspiration to make some kind of mask that I can wear as a piece of artwork that responds to the Great Bustards and responds to the plain, to this place that I live near, and these amazing birds that are a key species for our whole county, really. Another of the reasons that I wanted to make something wearable, make some kind of mask or headdress or something, is that the way that costumes are used in the rearing of the hand-reared bustards. So hand puppets are used to feed very small chicks, and then the older birds are fed by people that are wearing kind of gowns, kind of costumes with the colours of the bustard. And the young bustards that you can see in these photos have now been released and are living wild on Salisbury Plain with the other Great Bustards. So what do we need? Well, I'm sitting here with some photographs of Great Bustards on my laptop. I've got some cardboard, literally sort of cardboard you get in cardboard boxes. Quite thick, quite stiff, but with a little bit of flexibility. Scissors, pencil. I'm going to start out just by sketching out the rough outline of the Great Bustard mask. Now I want to make this head quite big because I want it to be big and bold, and I've got a pretty big head as well. So if I want something that's actually going to fit me, then I might need to exaggerate some elements of it. This is based on the Great Bustard. It doesn't need to be exact. It doesn't need to be a precise portrait of one. I'm getting the rough shapes on here, and then I can build onto it, paint onto it, and gradually build up those shapes and colours and textures. So you can see it's a simple shape of a bustard. It's roughed out, it's flat, and it's something that I can build onto, paint onto, make more three-dimensional if I want to. Obviously the deer skull, the deer mask, was very much a three-dimensional headdress, a mask that encloses your whole head. But this piece we're going to make a little bit simpler. We're going to start with a flat base and then build on top of that. So what I'm doing now is starting to add on some smaller pieces to add some relief. So we're starting with a 2D base, as I said, but then we're adding some layers of other materials on top. So these are offcuts of cardboard that I'm adding on to add texture to the feathers, to define the beak, and to add that kind of a eyebrow ridge that I can see from my photos that the bustard has got. I've got all the pieces of cardboard on where I wanted them to go to create that texture and the different details, and I just want to give it a coat of white paint now. That will allow me to paint details and different colours on the top and for them to show a lot more clearly. It doesn't matter too much what kind of white paint you use. If you've got some white paint at home that's been used to paint the walls, you can use that, white emulsion paint. This is white acrylic paint. I've added paint, detail to fill in the eyes, the plumage, the beak. What I'm thinking about is what function this plumage has. Why does this bird look this colour and this shape? So you might want to think about that with your bird, whether it's for camouflage, whether it's for display. I've also gathered, as you saw earlier, some of the plants from Salisbury Plain, and I'm going to attach some of those onto here. Before I do, I was just going to show you how I'm going to wear this. So I've added this circular or oval strip of card onto the back. I've measured a strip around my head, joined it together with a staple or with tape to make it into a loop, and then it should pretty much fit on the side of my head like that. So it's going to be a mask that works in profile this time rather than a mask that works in the front. Right, so we're all finished. I've attached the materials on that I found, I've got the loop to go over my head, and I've painted it, so let's see how it looks.